not? Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Saloni. Hi,
Hey,
Kritika.
Hi.
hi.
hi, Saloni, hi, Kritika. Welcome.
Hi,
Coffee
Dabira. Thank you so
Hi,
Conversation.
much.
Kabira.
How are you guys doing today?
Good, very good.
Yeah,
Great.
that's great.
So good to hear that. So let's get started, shall we?
Sure.
Great. So welcome everybody to the 14th episode of Coffee Conversations with Women on Wealth. And today is a very special episode for us. And I think most of you are going to say this, that I say it for most of our episodes, but this one is truly special. So, because we have these two very young and vibrant community members with us today. And but before we start, I'd like to ask you a question. Did you know that an investment of 1 lakh can become 66 lakhs in 30 years if you use the compound interest route at a rate of 15% rate of interest? So I'm going to repeat it again. Did you know that an investment of 1 lakh can become 66 lakhs if you use the compound interest route over a period of 30 years at a 15% rate of interest? Now think about it. It raised a couple of questions for me when I read it. So I kept thinking that, okay, this is fabulous, but how about if I kept putting that 1 lakh every year? That would increase my principal amount. So where would I go then? The second thing, the question that raised in my mind was that where should I invest to get the 15% rate of interest? So I'm going to leave you guys with these thoughts and over to you, Jyoti, and we will try and answer these for you over the course of the next 30 minutes. So stay on, stay tuned.
Thank you, Dabira. And yes, we definitely have two guests with us who will answer these questions. So stay tuned and do hear it. I want to start today's evening by talking about a phrase which I read in somebody's blog. I was going through the blog and this interesting article popped up and the heading said, YOLO, which is YOLO dash, and it said the cool phrase that may be ruining your financial health. I quite enjoyed reading that blog post, so I'm going to share a bit of my thoughts from that blog. So it started by talking about a concept called YOLO, which stands for you only live once. I'm sure many of us have used this phrase many times in our life. I have used it many times when I go on this binge eating spree and my husband is giving me that look like, aren't you eating a little too much? And I tell him, Satash, you only live once. So let me eat.
Nice.
The idea behind this term is that as you get only one life, you should live it to the fullest. To some, this means that they should live only for today and that they will handle tomorrow when it arrives. In short, life is all about the now and nothing else matters. So these people, they work hard, they party hard, they splurge a lot, and whatever they do save, it's usually for the immediate future. For the night at the club, a fancy watch, the latest iPhone, or a day trip to somewhere fancy. They believe that money is only for spending, and so a lot of impulsive splurging happens, and they feel it's cool to spend like this, and it's boring and uncool to save money. Some of them may take it a bit further, and they end up being broke every month. They in order to fulfill certain happiness, certain forms of happiness, they may end up building quite a bit of EMIs because they feel they believe very strongly that they will eventually pay it off tomorrow. And all in all, life seems pretty nice. The problem is that what they don't realize is that tomorrow does come. You cannot just live for today. Tomorrow comes, and tomorrow comes with its expenses. The cost of living does go high. I'm a parent, so I will speak from my experience. The kind of tuition fees my parents used to pay in the past is definitely not the same as I am going to pay for my kids. My dad he used to say, oh, bache, we bought something with 25 paisa. Today, 25 paisa doesn't even exist. So we all are pretty much aware of this fact कि जो हम पहले देते थे, अब हम वो same cost का price नहीं देते. And tomorrow also comes with something called retirement. Yes, we are working now. We are earning a good salary. But you know what? A time will come when you will not be working. You will not have a good salary and you have to take care of yourself and as an old age. And that time you will not even have that much energy to really work. So tomorrow does come and tomorrow comes with its own sets of challenges. And the only way to mitigate the effects of the higher cost of living and to be prepared for our retirement is to start saving now and start investing now. So having fun is good, necessary even to live a healthy life, but it is also important to save for tomorrow. For a generation that dreams big, a big Audi car we want, overseas vacation, owning a fancy house, all our dreams will remain dreams if we do not plan for our future goals. So today we have two community members joining us, Saloni Jain, our youngest community member, and Kritika Malhotra, who's just a little bit more older, and they will share their story with you and tell you why saving and investing today is the cool way to move forward. So Kritika, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So, thank you for already introducing me. But as you all know, I'm Kritika. I'm a program consultant at Tata Trust, and I work for the educational initiatives. I'm really passionate about bringing in equality in this world, creating wealth and creating financial awareness, especially amongst women. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Saloni, what about you?
Hi, I'm Saloni. I am a soon-to-be physiotherapist, born and brought up in Delhi. I'm 24 years old, and as you can see, I'm fairly new to being an adult, and I'm just testing the waters of the real world. I have a lot of learning and unlearning to do, and I'm just excited what life has for me in future.
Thank you, Saloni. Before we begin, I just want to say one last line. The fact that you only live once is the biggest reason why you need to start saving and investing today, because you get only one shot at life and you don't want to end up spending that on repaying EMIs. So let's start. Dabira, would you like to take over?
Sure. Thank you for that, Jyoti, and thank you, Kritika and Saloni, for your introductions. I'd like to start by asking you both one question, which is also the theme for today. Why, in your opinion, do women not start saving and investing at an early age? And why I'm asking this question is because I think you guys can tell us from your experiences and your friends and family that why does this not happen? So let's start with you, Saloni.
Okay, so I think there can be any number of reasons. I think the problem starts when we get the first salary, the first acquisition of money that we get, and then we want to give party to our friends. We want to show gratitude to our parents by buying them gifts. We also want to treat ourselves because we are, after all, doing hard work. And soon we start to share household responsibilities by paying bills, maybe EMIs, maybe premium of some policy. So what I feel that happens is that saving and investing takes a backseat to all of that starts happening. And other thing that's number one. And number two, which I think something that, we never think of money as an investment. We are always content with savings as women.
Right.
We always think that, okay, 50,000 salary hai, I save 10,000, it's good enough, right? Because I think it's because we are not aware of how many goals we can achieve if we invest and grow that money. And like Jyoti said, you live only once, wala. Khali haath aaye hain, khali haath jayenge. So that is something that makes us spend everything as soon as we get it.
So nicely put, actually. None of us really think, about the investments. We think ki savings kar lete hain. And I'll come to this point a little bit later, but I actually had an experience of sorts this afternoon when it was ki chalo jitna saving kar lete hain, but there was no concept of investment. So it just made me step back and look at the message again and say that, okay, this is like an intervention talk that needs to happen here.
Right.
So moving on to you, Kritika, why do you think?
Okay, so I actually feel that it comes quite a bit from our conditioning, our socialization. Since the day we are born, our roles are very fixed. You're supposed to, as a society, or as a man or a woman existing in the society, you have certain roles. They have already been distributed to you. And why I'm saying all of this is because how, like most of the times, what you've heard is, that money has always been the business of the karta dharta of the family, or the bread earner of the family. And whom do you consider the bread earner of the family or the karta dharta? It's the men. And that's why this role has always been given to, considered to be a manly role, a role which is given to the man of the house. And but you know what, some things have changed in our lives today. Women are actually going to the best of the universities out there, completing their education. They're bringing a lot of money in their homes. They're spending wherever they feel like it. They are buying everything they want to. They've become capable to an extent that they are able to match everybody in this world now. But despite that fact, we are not questioning our roles when it comes to our finances. We are not questioning that if I'm getting money, am I also supposed to be saving it? Am I also supposed to be investing it? So I'll go ahead and share something from my personal experience. Okay, like I come from a middle class background, and as any other middle class women, I've always been told by my parents how to save. I've always been taught since the child as to how to save money. When you get your salary, the first thing you do is keep some chunk out of it, and then you start spending, and then you start luxury spending. So there's always been steps that have always been informed to me. But during all this while, my parents actually never taught me that what to do with the savings sitting in my bank account. So there is one level of teaching that my parents gave me, that you have to keep money in your bank account. But the second level of what to do with that money is something, and how to preserve it from the inflation that's happening. So that wasn't taught to me. And neither did they teach me that there is a world out there of equity, where women are not investing, where people are not investing, where the youth is not investing, and which is very underrated in today's time, where we as a long term investor can make a lot of money. It has the capacity to give you that money. So I realized that, despite that fact that I am getting money home and I'm contributing to my finances, I am still depending and asking my father where to go and where to put my money, or my financial advisor to tell me which mutual fund should I invest in, or which equity should I buy, which is something which I feel that, all of us have been doing, and not really putting our mind into it, that, we can do it ourselves. We're not financially aware of that fact, actually.
Very interesting. And that's very true. No one really tells us about equity investments and how to reach our goals, or how to define them firstly.
Yeah.
Right.
So Kritika, tell me something. What brought you to Women on Wealth?
Okay, so I'll tell you how I started my financial journey first. There was a program that I was attending some years back, and I read a quote by Warren Buffett. It was used in a very different context, although, and it's a very famous quote of his, and he says, if you don't find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you will be earning for the rest of your life. And although it was used in a very different context, it actually hit me that, unlike my parents who are government, who work for the government, I do not have a retirement fund. I'm always going to be earning, and and despite the fact that I'm saving today, my money is not going to grow anything more than 4%, which is not even beating the inflation in today's time. And that means this is going to be a pain point for the rest of my life. So I started searching for how to save tax, how to save my money. And while I was going through all of this, I started investing in mutual funds. But every time I went back to my mutual fund advisor, he always told me, okay, you'll make money in 10 years. This is a small cap fund. And he used terminology which I felt I did not understand. And I was trusting someone with my money. And I felt that I need to take charge. I need to know what he's talking about. How can I give my money to someone and just sleep, peacefully? So I started reading about it. And here is when the turning point came. So although we all are very cautious and very jittery about the fact that Facebook takes all our data, and Instagram reads our search history, and Chrome takes an account of what we are searching on Google and everything, it did something really good for me. So Women on Wealth page landed on my timeline, and I went ahead and I filled a form for a free session of stock learning program course. And at that time, I did not know anything about it. And while I spoke to Priyanka, who's the founder of Women on Wealth, I realized that there is actually a systematic way of investing into equity. And although it doesn't take away the risk from the equity, it does decrease the risk many folds. And that's where I started my journey on Women on Wealth. I started with the stocks program course, and I started investing 2 years back, 1.5 years back, in stocks. And that's where my journey started.
Nice. Actually, you raised such a good point of the inflation, which of course, Apeksha, who's also mentioned it as a comment, saying that that's one thing that we don't take note of, is that we can be saving, but is it going to beat the inflation rate? That's something that we never think about. So, yeah.
So Saloni, what about you? What brought you to Women on Wealth? How did that happen?
Okay, so one day I was browsing through Instagram and I saw my sister-in-law's story about a book called Let's Talk Money by Monica Halan. So I messaged her saying that I want to know about investing, but I don't know the ABCs of it.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. So quickly she linked me that book. And while it was a great book, I still was looking for a deeper understanding in order to apply it to my life. So that's when she introduced me to this wonderful community, which she is a part of. She's Khushali Gandhi. She's also a part of Women on Wealth community. And she introduced me to Priyanka. We got on a call, and that's when I joined the Money Gym program.
All right.
And just right after my Money Gym program ended, I did no delay and joined the stocks program as well. So that's how my journey began. And I was still looking for new materials to read because I like reading. So that's where Jyoti introduced me to the Women on Wealth book club. And it has been an amazing experience.
Can you tell us a little bit about this book club? And by the way, I loved Monica Halan's book too. I think she's written it so well.
Yeah. So I think things about book is that if I like reading books, it is not necessary that other women like reading too. But it is so important to know that as a beginner, books set a solid foundation, and discussing what we learn only amplifies our learning. Every book tells you something new, and it makes you reflect on your own money habits.
Yeah.
So we have Wow Money Book Club on Telegram, and I'm leading it alongside Prachi Garg and Sheetal Gurung. We strive to...
Before you start, I just want to say that you're doing a fabulous job of leading it. Please, now continue.
Thank you. So we strive to make it a space where women can come, read together, and share their experiences and learnings to build their money mindset. We generally read books that are related to personal finance, with occasional inclusion of books related to self-betterment. So we meet online Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. every Wednesday to read together. And we want to inculcate a healthy reading habit. That's why we have started now to reading together. And then we share our learning and our experiences. And we also have a lively chat on Telegram group as well. So if anybody's who's out there who wants to join our book club, please type in the comments and we'll try to get back to you.
I see
Thank you.
you are already pouring in, Saloni, so you have a few people who would like to join.
And I want to add,
So with Women on Wealth actually started with the book club. So Saloni and I have something in common.
yeah.
Nice.
And I want to add that it has been so rewarding to lead the book club because it gave me a platform to connect with women who are trying to figure out their money lives, just like I am.
Nice. So that leads us to our next question. And Saloni, I think we can start with you first here. So what has been the impact of WOW in your life, Women on Wealth in your life? For people who don't know, it's called WOW as well.
Yeah. So the Money Gym program, the first program that I did, it gave me a clear roadmap of my financial goals, of what I want to do in future, and how much money will I need to get there, and what are the different steps I can take to get to my goals. I don't earn right now, but now I have a clear footing of what I would like to do with my money when I get some. And with stocks program, it has been wonderful because I came in with stereotypical apprehensions about the stock market and about the idea of stock investing. But with the community and with the course, my apprehensions are melting one study at a time. So and most importantly, this program has helped to open a money conversation between me and my mother. If I can state an example.
Wow. Yeah, of course. Please go ahead.
So right after I completed my Money Gym program, I was talking to Hira that I want to join the stocks program as well. But I don't want to ask my mother for money because I feel like she won't understand why I need it. So then Hira asked me, why wouldn't she understand? I said, because she just won't. So she said, have you tried explaining it to her? What have you learned in Money Gym? And why you need to do stocks program as well? And I went silent for a second and I thought, wow, I haven't even shared with her what I have learned. So how do I expect her to understand in the first place? So that day I sat down with my mom. I showed her the Excel sheet. I showed her my goals. I told her this is what I need, and stocks program is one way to achieve what I want to do. And so it has been, it started a conversation, and which I thought was very necessary to my personal self-being.
That's so nice. I mean, it's just one simple thing you had to do and it changed entire aspect of your life. So
Yes.
that's great. And Kritika, what about you?
So I'll start with the stocks program has actually have bought a element of shock in my life. Why I'm saying that is because in a lot of family discussions, if I jump in and I say ki I don't think it's the right time to buy L&T, maybe you should invest in Colgate for now, or maybe you should pick up a FMCG stock instead of an auto industry stock. So a lot of people are shocked around me when I say that, and especially while they're asking my father this, and I'm the one who jumps in and who says something of this sort, and then me and my father get into a discussion about all of this. So there's a element of shock there. However, this is the mischievous part of the course. But the other impactful parts have been really impactful, to be honest. One of it is the consciousness. Okay, it has raised some consciousness in me. So although earlier also I was conscious of where I was spending, and everything. Now I've become all the way more conscious, because now I know how much that money can give me in the next couple of years with the compounding rate of interest. So now when I'm spending, I think more from that point of view, that if I save more, I can multiply more. So that is one consciousness, that's something that I'd like to raise. The second one has also is very important actually. um, that's because earlier my parents would inform me or tell me or have a discussion while I'm present about where would they, if they have a chunk of money, then where would they take it, or where would they invest it, or where would they put it in an FD or an account, or save it for some time while they collect more to buy a property or something. But now they discuss it with me. Where do you think we should put it for short term, where do you think you should put it for long term? So it's great to be a part of your household finances. It's great to be able to become a part of that financial role decision making in your own family actually.
Yeah, it's very empowering.
Yeah, it's very empowering.
So Saloni, tell me something. If there is one message you can give to your friends out there, what would that be?
Uh, that's a heavy one. So something that we have learned from this COVID pandemic is that it is not wise to depend on just a single source of income. So it is always good to either look for a side hustle or to generate a passive income through investing. And while I know, it is scary and downright uncomfortable to talk about money when your graduation is in jeopardy, when you are looking at a job loss or maybe a career switch in times like these. But my invitation to all the young women out there is to start having these conversations, honest and open conversation about money with your friends, with your family. And sooner or later, you will see that other things will start follow. So that's my message to all the people out there, just to start talking. Let's take this small step. And, like Jyoti mentioned, that YOLO thing, that we are sometimes careless with our money. But, who's to say we cannot have it both ways? We can also have a good life, the life we want. And by making some small changes, we can also grow some of our money. So don't let that be a hindrance to you.
All right. Thank you for that, Saloni. What about you, Kritika? What is that one message you want to give out there to your friends and family?
Okay, so I have two messages. Okay,
Okay.
and and for just the women out there, to be honest, I want to give this message to all the youth that I come across, and everybody out there, the men, the women, everybody. Um, the first thing is to upskill. It's very important for all of us to upskill, and upskill not in the area of or the field of work that you've picked up in your life, but also in other areas where you're interested in or that impact the day-to-day life of yours. It can be reading, it can be exercise, it can be lifestyle, it can be anything that you're keen on. It can be money, it can be finances, it can be anything, but take that time and build more skills. The second thing I'd really like this is for everybody. Please take charge of your finances. We all have investors, we all have advisors around us, we all have people who can tell you where to put your money, but till the time you don't know where you want to put your money, or you don't feel confident that where your money is going is the right place, and if you don't know that, it's always going to be, I wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have done this. So just to get rid of I wish I would have done this, it's very important to take charge today. At whatever day and age you are, just start thinking about it, and it'll eventually come. That's it.
Very nice. Hashtag take charge
Yeah.
now. All right. Thank you. Thank you both, Saloni and Kritika, for sharing your stories and being so inspirational. And if you've been watching us on Coffee Conversations, we've constantly asked this one question: what advice would you give your younger self, or the big takeaway that you would want to give out? And the reason we always emphasize on it is because for the three of us in the Coffee Conversations team, which is Apeksha, Jyoti, and myself, the minute we understood the return possibilities of starting to invest early, we just were on this drive to keep pushing it and keep pushing it out there as much as possible. And that was one of the reasons when these two agreed to come on board, we decided to take it a step ahead and kind of give some numbers out there to really show how can it really, really benefit you. So all we hope for is that hearing these two young ladies, you are as inspired as we are. And while, Kritika said in her takeaway answer that, I wish I had, we say that a lot. So I hope you don't have to say it. So, so this is it. It's time for you to take charge and be there for yourself. Now, getting on to how do we benefit by investing early? So we'll call it the snowball effect. So we start with a small sized fist snowball, which is like 1 lakh for us in our investment, suppose. And as you keep receiving returns, you start reinvesting that. So as a result of which your capital investment starts to grow. So in our case, our snowball starts to grow. And as it starts to grow, it gains momentum over a period of time and exponentially after a period of time to become the most powerful wealth building machine for you. So even if we take a rate of return of 10%, we will see an investor who will be able to earn 7 times of their capital in 20 years, but can earn 17 times of their capital in 30 years. Okay, so you can see the difference. The 10 years make a huge difference. And who would not want that? So unless you want to be like what Warren Buffett had said, making money while you're sleeping, you better start now. And this is now the question comes: where, when, what should we invest in? All of that is our second most crucial step. The first most crucial step, which you're going to reiterate here, is start early, start young, and multiply your wealth like never before for yourself. So with that, I just want to thank you both again for coming on and, and sharing your stories. And we will be back next week, same time, same day, Monday, 5 p.m. and with 2 more exciting people.
Thank you so much, Saloni, and thank you so much, Kritika, for joining us today. It was lovely to have you guys over.
Thank you for inviting
Our
us.
pleasure.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
All right, so we sign off. Bye.
Bye-bye.